That number is not a glitch. $36 trillion. That is the current United States national debt. And while you go to work, pay your bills, and try to build something for your family, that number grows by $3 billion. Not per year, per day. Now here's the question nobody is asking out loud. What happens to your savings account, your 401k, and your mortgage when that number finally breaks the system? Most people have no answer because nobody told them to think about it. Your financial advisor didn't bring it up. Your bank certainly didn't. And the government? Well, they've been a little busy spending the money. Here's what I know. Every single currency crisis in modern history gave people a window to protect themselves before it was too late. The ones who acted during that window came out the other side stronger. The ones who waited lost everything. You are in that window right now. I'm going to give you 5 specific assets that have preserved wealth through every dollar crisis, every hyperinflation, and every banking collapse in the last 100 years. Asset number 5 is the only one on this list that costs absolutely nothing, and it's the most powerful one. But first, you need to understand something your financial advisor has a very strong incentive to never explain to you. Let's talk about how currency collapses actually work, because if you're picturing explosions and people fighting over canned beans, that's a bad movie. Real currency collapse looks like this. Eggs were $2.50 in 2019. They were $4.80 in 2022, and they're hitting $8 in parts of the country today. Rent is up 30% in 3 years in major cities. The average American family is spending $1,000 more per year on groceries than they did just 4 years ago. Meanwhile, your savings account is earning 4.5% interest. Sounds decent until you realize the actual cost of living is rising significantly higher than the official inflation number. You are technically earning interest. You are functionally getting poorer. That's not an accident. That's a policy. And it has a name: financial repression. It's when governments keep interest rates artificially low while inflation quietly eats away at the value of your savings. It's a transfer of wealth from you to the state to pay down debt. The US did it after World War II. They cut the national debt from 106% of GDP down to 23% in 28 years. They didn't pay it back. They inflated it away. The UK did the exact same thing. Global debt right now sits at over $100 trillion. What makes you think they won't do it again? Only this time, the scale is 10 times bigger. 3 numbers to remember: $36 trillion, the current US national debt; $1 trillion added to that debt every 100 days, and 134, the number of countries actively building systems to bypass the dollar in international trade right now. This is not a conspiracy. It's publicly documented policy. The wealthy already know this. They've already moved. Now it's your turn. Let's get into the 5 assets, but stay with me because right after asset number 3, I'm going to tell you the 3 things your advisor is probably recommending that will actively destroy your wealth in this scenario. Asset number 1, physical gold and silver. I know what some of you are thinking. Gold? Really? What year is it? Fair question. Let me answer with another one. Why did central banks around the world buy more gold in 2023 than in any year since 1967? Not retail investors, central banks. The same institutions that told you gold was a relic are quietly accumulating it at a record pace. You should ask yourself why. Here's the truth about gold. It doesn't go up in value. The dollar goes down and gold simply stays the same. In 1971, an ounce of gold bought a quality men's suit. Today, an ounce of gold still buys a quality men's suit. The dollar you saved in 1971? It might buy you a mediocre tie. Now, a critical distinction, and this is where most people make a catastrophic mistake. There is a massive difference between owning gold and owning a piece of paper that says you own gold. Gold ETFs, certificates, futures, these are promises, and promises are only as good as the institution making them. In 1933, President Roosevelt made it illegal for American citizens to own gold. The government confiscated it from people holding paper claims because they knew exactly where it was. The people who held physical gold, stored privately, many kept it. Physical possession is not optional. It is the entire point. Physical gold and silver stored outside the banking system in a location only you control. And pay attention to silver. The gold-to-silver ratio is at historically extreme levels, meaning silver is significantly undervalued relative to gold. Think of this as 10 to 15% of your liquid net worth, not your emergency fund, but your wealth insurance. Asset number 2, debt-free real estate. Pay close attention to that first word, debt-free. The pitch you've been sold is buy a home, real estate always goes up. What they leave out is that a house with a $400,000 mortgage is not an asset. It is a liability with a very nice kitchen. The bank owns it. If the economy contracts, your income drops, and you miss 3 payments, the bank will remind you, in writing, exactly who owns that house. In 2008, 3.8 million Americans lost their homes, not because real estate failed them, because debt failed them. The real estate that protects you is property you own outright. No mortgage, no lender, no bank can foreclose on a property with no loan. That is your foundation. If you have a mortgage, aggressive principal paydown is one of the highest return, zero-risk moves you can make. Every dollar of principal you eliminate is a dollar the bank can never use against you. If you're looking to buy, stop looking at coastal cities. The most resilient real estate is in secondary markets, the Midwest, the Southeast, areas with water and agriculture. A $180,000 property in rural Tennessee that you own free and clear is worth infinitely more in a crisis than a $900,000 Miami condo with a $750,000 mortgage. Okay, I promised you this. 3 traps your advisor is probably pushing right now. Trap 1. Long-duration government bonds. Locking your money in a 30-year treasury is a bet that the dollar will be strong for decades. That is not a bet I would make. Trap 2. High-yield savings accounts. 4.5% feels responsible. It isn't when your actual cost of living is rising significantly higher than the official inflation number. You are technically earning interest. You are functionally getting poorer. That's not an accident. That's a policy. And it has a name. Financial repression. It's when governments keep interest rates artificially low while inflation quietly eats away at the value of your savings. It's a transfer of wealth from you to the state to pay down debt. The US did it after World War II. They cut the national debt from 106% of GDP down to 23% in 28 years. They didn't pay it back. They inflated it away. The UK did the exact same thing. Global debt right now sits at over $100 trillion. What makes you think they won't do it again? Only this time, the scale is 10 times bigger. Now back to what you should own. Asset number 3, exposure outside the dollar system. This isn't complicated or illegal. It takes about 20 minutes to set up. It's what the ultra-wealthy have done for generations. Here's the core problem. If every dollar you own is in US dollars, your entire financial life rises and falls with one currency, one government's decisions, one central bank's mistakes. The Swiss franc has maintained its purchasing power through 2 world wars and the 2008 financial crisis. The Singaporean dollar is backed by a government that has run a budget surplus for most of the last 30 years. Commodity-linked currencies like the Norwegian krona tend to strengthen when the dollar weakens. It's a natural hedge. You can open a multi-currency account through platforms like Wise or Interactive Brokers legally from your living room. You are not hiding money. You are diversifying, just like every major corporation and wealthy family already does. Asset number 4, commodities and productive land. Think about something very simple. When a currency collapses and paper promises mean nothing, what do people actually need? Food, energy, water, shelter? Real things, physical things. During the Weimar hyperinflation in Germany in the 1920s, a wheelbarrow full of cash couldn't buy a loaf of bread, but a farmer with a field of wheat, that farmer was the wealthiest person in the village overnight. You don't need to buy a farm. You can own a piece of one through farmland REITs. You can get exposure to the raw materials of the economy through commodity ETFs for oil, agriculture, or timber. And here's the one almost nobody is talking about yet: water rights. In the American West, water rights are being aggressively acquired by institutional investors. They understand that in the next 30 years, the most strategically valuable resource on Earth will not be oil, it will be fresh water. ETFs like PHO or FIW give you exposure to water infrastructure today. This is the asset class that will outperform almost everything in a genuine dollar collapse. The average American has zero exposure to it. And now asset number 5, the one that costs nothing and compounds faster than anything else: sovereign skills and a trusted network. I know that sounds abstract. Let me make it specific. Look at every major economic collapse: the Great Depression, Weimar Germany, the Soviet collapse. The people who recovered fastest were not the ones with the most gold. They were the ones who could produce something of value and who had people around them they could genuinely trust. The doctor who traded medical care for food, the mechanic who kept the community's vehicles running, the person who knew how to grow things, preserve things, fix things. They had something no government could inflate away and no bank could freeze. Use